Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Trasher Football. Today, I want to go over who I think is going to be the 10 most important games over the 2024 football season. Yes, that's the upcoming season. We have all the big conference realignments continuing. We have the new 12-team playoff that's coming in this year, which means there will be home playoff games on campuses, which I'm so excited for. But I want to get into what I think is going to be the top 10 biggest games this upcoming season. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. At number 10, I have Alabama at LSU on November 9th. Now, this game has always been one of the most insane SEC West games every year. It usually decides who's going to win the West, who's going to go on to the SEC championship to face, the East, which usually ended up being, I don't know, Florida, Georgia, or maybe Missouri. But now that you don't have divisions this year, it's a little diabolical to think, that this game's still important, but I think it does. Nick Saban has left from Alabama. It's now Kalen DeBoer. Jalen Milroe is still the quarterback at Alabama, but what other talent does he have to surround him still remains a mystery on whether they're going to be Nick Saban elite or if they're going to be Kalen DeBoer great, if you can understand where I'm coming from. And then for LSU under Brian Kelly, Jaden Daniels is gone. Your Heisman Trophy quarterback has moved on to the NFL. So now move on to Garrett Nussmeier. He showed some good things, but he's not the quarterback that Jaden Daniels was. Hopefully, he progressed over the offseason into being a better quarterback. And, if LSU wants to make the 12-team playoff, this is a must-need game right here to win. Now, I'm not giving any predictions on who I think are going to win these games, but I think you can understand who I think might win each of these games. All right, and then at number 9, I have Ole Miss at LSU. So yes, LSU showing up on this schedule again. Well, on this top 10, I guess you could say. Now, this is on October 12th. Now, Lane Kiffin, he has every right to fail this season. He has such a loaded roster. Yes, you did lose Quinshon Judkins, but you still have Jackson Dart, which is one of the greatest current SEC quarterbacks, along with Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck. But, this is going to be a very hard game for both teams. This is going to be a home game for LSU. I still think Ole Miss is going to be able to get the job done. But, like I said, I'm not giving my full predictions yet because I don't know. But I would love to see Ole Miss win this one. I still think LSU could still make it if they lose either this one or the Alabama game. But those are both at LSU, so they could be winnable. And then at number 8, I have Texas at Michigan. This is a very, very interesting game right here. This is, I believe, week 2? Maybe week... Yeah, I think this is a week 2 game. Texas is one of the front runners to win the college football playoff. And Michigan is the team that won it last year. Jim Harbaugh's gone. J.J. McCarthy's gone. Blake Corum is gone. But you still have your interim head coach coming in as your new head coach, and he did a very fantastic job last season. I do think, this Texas team is going to be one of the best offenses in the country, undoubtedly. Michigan has a great defense. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. Like I said, not going to give my predictions on it, but this is going to be a very important game this early on in the season. Who I think is possible to, I don't know, maybe finish second in the SEC or even win the whole thing versus who won the Big Ten last year and who won the national championship last year. This is a very important game for this early on into the season. And then up next, I have Clemson at Florida State. Now, this one is going to be a very interesting one. Clemson has been on the slow downward spiral as of recently, as a lot of you have noticed up to this point. And Florida State, a lot of people think that they got robbed of their college football playoff spot. Do you think that they did? I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. That's a very interesting argument to bring up. But this is on October 5th. I think the winner of this game is going to go on to the ACC championship game. Florida State's a really good team, but they did lose a lot of talent. Clemson, retained a lot of talent, but they didn't pick up anybody in the transfer portal. So could that hurt Clemson this upcoming season? Because they sure did lose a lot to the transfer portal. But I still don't know who I want to pick for this game yet for myself. This is going to be a very hard schedule for Clemson this year, as they were an elite national championship team every single year up till, 2 years ago. So I want to hear what you guys think about this game specifically in the comments. This is a very interesting game in particular that I want a lot of you guys in the comments to discuss. But up next in my countdown, this one was hard for me. Georgia and Ole Miss on November 9th. Georgia, I think, is winning the national championship this year, so I obviously think they're going to beat Ole Miss, but this is going to be at Ole Miss. This is going to be, a small environment compared to all these other SEC schools, but they're going to fill these stands to the brim in Oxford, Mississippi, for where Ole Miss is at. It's really going to come down to the quarterback play of either team. Is what defense is going to be able to get to the quarterback easier, and I think it's going to be Georgia. Jackson Dart, depending on how well he can play under pressure, will be deciding on who will win this game, but we will have to see. And then up next in my countdown, I couldn't decide on who I wanted to pick for these next two spots. I was really flip-floppy on them. But for the number 5 spot, I think, this is number 5, I don't know, I lost track of my counting. It'll show up on the screen. I have Georgia at Alabama on September 28th. This is another big SEC game early on in the season. I think this is week 4, maybe week 5? I don't know if it would be week 5. That sounds too late for the season, though. This is going to be the first Nick Saban-less Alabama team since 2006. It's been that long that Nick Saban ran rampant across the SEC and all of college football. And Kirby Smart was one of his disciples, and Kirby Smart is now the current GOAT. He is now the current best coach in all of college football. Are they going to be able to take down Nick Saban's former team? I think so. Not going to say yes or no, but I think it's very possible. Carson Beck is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the SEC currently. It's also going to come down on if they can get pressure on Jalen Milroe, but that remains to be seen. But up next, this one was really flip-floppity with me in the Alabama and Georgia game. I have Oregon and Michigan. This is on November 2nd of 2024. Now, I really should have probably put Bama, Georgia here, but this is not really, I guess you could say, the most important ranked from 10 to 1, but whatever cares. I meant to say whatever. So, Oregon, they have Dylan Gabriel now at quarterback now that Bo Nix has left the Oregon Ducks. Michigan's quarterback, I don't even think they've chosen one yet. I'm guessing it's going to be Alex Orji. Yes, that's a funny last name. Keep laughing. I really think Oregon should win this game. I think Michigan's going to take a step down to compared to what they were last season, just based off of all the talent they lost in the draft, and you lose your head coach. Oregon is a very, very, very skilled offensive team. It's going to come down to how good their defense plays against Michigan. I think it's going to be just good enough to get the job done against the Wolverines. This is going to be another very important Big Ten game in this upcoming season, which sounds weird because this sounds like a Pac-12 Big Ten game, but nope, now with the conference realignment, this is strictly the Big Ten. But in I think this is my number 3 spot, I do have Michigan and Ohio State on November 30th. This is the most important rivalry of every single football season. I don't care if you say the Army-Navy game. I don't care if you say the Iron Bowl. If you're counting the 2 most relevant teams to face off in a rivalry game on rivalry week, it is bar none Michigan and Ohio State. Now, who I think is going to win this game this year? Like I said, I'm going to refrain from predictions, but I'm leaning towards Ohio State. Now, I think this is obviously going to decide who's going to the Big Ten championship, as it has, the last, 8 years or so, except for the 2020 year. is Ohio State going to finally be able to do it now that Jim Harbaugh's gone over the last couple of seasons? And I remember when the joke around the Big Ten, conference was, Jim Harbaugh's been here for a hot minute. He hasn't beaten Ohio State. He finally did it. Then he held a streak on him. And now that he's gone, is Ryan Day going to be able to get his revenge on the Michigan team? And I think that this is a very important game. And there's going to be a reason why I ranked this at number 3 instead of number 2. Because at number 2, I have Ohio State at Oregon. Now you might be thinking, Trasher, you're stupid. Why do you think this is a more important game than the game? Because I think Oregon is a better team than Michigan. And I think that Oregon, being that it's going to be at Oregon, it's going to be a harder game for Ohio State than it would be, against Michigan at Ohio State this year. This game is October 12th, so this is almost smack dab in the midseason, y'all. This is going to be a very important game. Ryan Day versus Dan Lanning. And, Dan Lanning has done an unbelievable job at Oregon, by the way. Over the last 2 seasons, just 2 seasons, 10-3, 12-2. I think he has a possibility of going maybe 11-1 in the regular season. Is this going to be the game that he loses? Quite possibly. We will have to see, but this is a very important game right here. It's going to, like I said, all depend on what Ohio State's defense can do to Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel did a really good job at Oklahoma, one of the greatest, quarterbacks in the Big 12 last year. But now that Jeff Lebby's gone, so is Dillon Gabriel. It's all going to depend on the offensive coordinator job at Oregon, but I think this is a very important game right here at the number 2 spot. I think it's more important than the game, just due to the fact that Oregon has a better offense than Michigan. But, cry me a river, this is just my opinion. And then at the number 1 spot, I feel like this was very obvious to everyone. Georgia at Texas on October 19th. This is a very important game. This is 2 elite teams in the SEC. Yes, Texas is now in their first year in the SEC. Can you really even call them elite? Yes. I think they're going to have the best offense in the SEC this season. I think Georgia's going to have the best defense in the SEC this season. This is going to be, everybody's going to be paying attention to when Quinn Ewers is on the field and Georgia's defense is on the field at the same time. Nobody's going to be paying attention to Texas's defense when Georgia is also on the field. I already have given my prediction on this game. Technically, if you look at my, I think I did a Texas prediction video. I might not have. I can't remember. Or a Georgia one. I'll have to go back through my old videos and find out if I did one. But I don't think I did. Yeah, I didn't. But, yeah, this is also this is the most important game in the regular season. It's all going to depend on how good Georgia will do against Texas's defense, whose Texas's defense has given up some big stuff. They've also came up clutch in different situations last season, but it remains to be seen on what they will do this upcoming season. But ladies and gentlemen, please tell me what you think is the most important games this upcoming season. Make sure you put it in the description down below. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'm going to go ahead and shout out the Patreons real quick. We have JP Coog Fan, Beejasaurus, Anthony, Kick Pop Bear, Mester, Thomas Cool TV, Josh, Seth, MS Blank, Zerlak, Eric, Ty, Cruz, Zachary Jasper, Matthew Blank, D, and Buck Guy. So to all of you patrons, make sure that you stay tuned for early access videos. And if you're not a patron, the link is in the description below, where you will get early access to all types of great videos coming in the future, such as this one. And there are also, like, the Last Dynasty series is also early access videos. So do make sure you at least check out the Patreon and read into it. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later.